Hello and welcome to PCMag Live. I'm Dan Costa, he is Sascha Segan, and we've got a great show for you today. We're going to run down the top tech news of the day, answer one of your reader questions, and then pull one cool thing off the shelf from the lab and show it to you live on air. Let's start with the top news of the day. I noticed in the headlines today, one of my favorite companies, I just installed it last weekend, the Nest, the makers of a smart thermostat, are being sued again for their latest technology, this time their latest smoke alarm, the Nest Protect. They're being sued by BRK, the makers of First Alert, because they claim that a smoke alarm that will tell you that there is a fire in your kitchen is their intellectual property. This is kind of old hat for Nest. Every time they release a product, it seems like somebody sues them.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things here is that none of these are patent troll lawsuits. BRK uses this technology in all of their products. Their smoke alarms say fire, and that's apparently the patent in action. What I think is really going on here under the surface is that Nest are kind of jerks. And their entire marketing plan is based on insulting and deriding the entire rest of the smoke alarm and thermostat industry as being a bunch of non-innovative, old technology losers. And so they're kind of taunting these other companies.
They're asking to be sued.
Exactly. And
by
so
calling the entire industry that they're disrupting old-fashioned and stale.
Right. So instead of getting together with these other companies and, looking at the patent portfolios and maybe arranging some licenses like grown-ups do, they're just taunting them. And so, of course, these guys take the bait and they get up, they get their hackles up, and they come up with lawsuits. I mean, that's what happens if you take an adversarial perspective.
I think that they would be adversarial. They're competitors regardless. I think they'd be adversarial regardless. And actually, I don't think that these types of patents are really the things that we should be fighting over. Having a voice tell you that there's fire in the kitchen, it doesn't seem like that should be something that's patentable to me, but we'll see. They'll adjudicate it. They'll take it out. Let's talk about the other big story in the news today. The FCC, now that we can use our iPads and phones during takeoff, now the FCC is considering allowing phone calls while planes are in flight. This obviously, once you let the phone onto the plane, you have to address this issue. This is like possibly the most unpopular idea I have ever heard of.
There is only one way that this could work, which is if you go back to the days of the Verizon Airphones that used to be in seatbacks. Those were okay because they cost so psychotically much per minute that
at $7 a minute, you weren't going to make a long phone
Right.
call.
People would only make short, extremely critical phone calls. And that works for me. I mean, if someone absolutely needs to get in touch, in an emergency situation with someone, okay, let them make a very short phone call. But activating data is one thing. Activating texting, great idea. But people are so crammed into these planes, and they already hate their seatmates so much that you don't want to encourage any possible other antisocial behavior.
Yeah, the most annoying point of any flight is when you land and she says you can turn your phones on, everybody turns their phone on, and everybody starts talking to their drivers and saying, oh yes, I'm at the airport, I just landed. It's so irritating. Then everybody jumps up in the hall, in the aisleway. This is going to make air travel worse, and I don't think it's going to happen. There's no support among the public. The airlines don't want it. The flight attendants don't want it. No one wants this.
And that's why I am once again happy to be a frequent Delta flyer, because Delta is the only major airline to come out so far and just say, no, absolutely not. This is a horrible idea. Have fun on the internet. If you need to contact your driver, email him.
Yeah, we've got a poll up on PCMag.com right now. We want to know your opinion. Go on the site. Let people know that this is a terrible idea. Or if you like it, go ahead and vote the other way. But also, this weekend, there is evidently massive Doctor Who news. Sascha, you've been following this story. You are evidently committing the entire weekend to watch Doctor Who episodes from the last 50 years.
Well, I mean,
what's happening?
Yeah, as everybody knows, I am a big Doctor Who fan, even though I have some issues with the current showrunner. But doesn't everybody at some point in the 50-year run of this show?
I mean, that's what a marriage is all about.
There's a great Google Doodle up. If you go to google.co.uk, there's a playable Doctor Who video game that looks kind of like Crystal Castles, if you remember that game from the 80s. There's a movie on tonight about the making of Doctor Who in the 60s. And then tomorrow, BBC America is showing it at 2:50 p.m., 7 p.m., and 11 p.m. The 2:50 p.m. syncs up with the UK showing. And this is just a celebration of the longest running fantasy/sci-fi show on TV, and just the generator of this massive amount of geek culture and nerd culture and science fiction culture. And all these people grew up seeing this, and new generations are growing up seeing it. And I just think it's great. Let's kick back. Let's watch 50 years of history in the future unfold.
Yeah, it's a geek holiday for sure. And the great thing is if you look back and you realize that so much of this was shot in black and white. The show was doing sci-fi at a time when it was giving pointers to the Twilight Zone and Outer Limits.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at one thing to think about Doctor Who is, so you think about, wow, the early 60s, it was so long ago, but there really was this flourishing of really good sci-fi on TV at the time. You had Twilight Zone, you had Outer Limits, which could be very radical, and then from 66 through 69, of course, you had Star Trek.
Yes.
So the 60s were a great time for sci-fi TV, for science fiction in general. And hey, now it looks like the 20-teens might be a good time as well.
Very cool. It's time to move on to a question that we got from our readers. The Xbox One went on sale today. There are lines to get it. There are a few reports that there are some issues with it, but we've got a question from Abel who sent us an email and wanted to know, bottom line, you've tested both of them, Xbox One versus PlayStation 4, which do we decide is the better console? And it's a very good question. Everybody's asking that question. And I gotta say, we hedged a bit. We actually really like both consoles. We gave them both editor's choices, but they come in at different price points and they do slightly different things. So we're kind of giving it, one answer is that they're both very good.
But I also think the way it broke down when we looked at it is that if all you intend to do is play video games, if all you're thinking about is video games and you just want to play video games for 10 hours a day, the PS4 is probably going to be the better console. But if you're looking at this as part of a larger entertainment package and you want a box that helps control your TV entertainment and you want a big family element as well, and you're really looking for sort of the master of your living room, even beyond gaming, then the Xbox is the better console.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the addition of that Kinect. Not only the gesture recognition, but also the voice recognition, which is really impressive, being able to change the channel. And then the feature that everybody mocks me for, that this is like the most minor thing about the box, the Skype functionality in the Xbox One is kind of amazing. When you use Skype on the Xbox One, it's like the first time you've ever used Skype. I think all those little features, you add them all up, as a package, I think the Xbox One's more revolutionary.
Yeah, just nailing it down. So the PS4 is better for gamers and the Xbox One is better for humans.
All right, gamers are humans too. Come on now. Let's move on to one cool thing. We test thousands of products in the lab every day. Every day we take one thing off the shelf to show it to you. Today that thing is the Fitbit Force. This is the latest Fitbit tracking device from Fitbit. Obviously, it's wearable. It's a little bit bigger than the Fitbit Flex, and that allows you to have a display that actually tells you how many steps you've walked and provides a little bit more information. It also has the altimeter that lets you know how many steps you've taken up and down, how many staircases you've climbed. We really like this device. It's $130, but it's for $130, it's the best tracker you can get on the market right now.
Yeah, this is our editor's choice in terms of health trackers right now. A lot of great little features. For instance, it has the silent alarm, which will wake you up without waking up anyone who's in bed with you at the time, which in my case is often my kid who climbs in. But so the one thing to know about this, if you want one, is that it is sold out almost everywhere. If you want one for the holidays, buy it now. Online. You will get it by Christmas. You will not get it by Black Friday, but this is in really high demand. So Fitbit Force, we love it. If you want to track your activity, it's a great idea. Jump on it now online.
Definitely get it. And they've had a problem with Fitbits every time they've released a new product, keeping enough of them in demand. And this holiday season, these types of devices, these wearables, these trackers are going to be the hot gift for the holidays. So definitely get it while you can. You can read Jill Duffy's full review of the Fitbit Force on PCMag.com. This has been PCMag Live. Thanks for joining us. We will be back on Monday. Please join us then. And remember to send us your emails, send us comments on Twitter, Facebook. We will answer them live on air. We appreciate you watching. Thanks for your time.